9 out of 10 people in the world find watching cartoons one of the most enjoyable things to do.
Perfect.
But did you know that many of the cartoons and movies you watch are completely different in other parts of the planet Earth? A classic example of a globally famous cartoon that is different in another country is The Amazing World of Gumball, which is completely different in one of the most populous countries on the planet, China. Over there, they decided it would be a good idea to create a cartoon called Miracle Star, where Gumball and his entire family exist, but with different appearances. For example, in the case of Gumball, who is a blue cat, his version in the land of the Great Wall is a brown goat named Mau Mau, and Nicole has transformed into a character named Lama. To complete the family, Richard became Baba, and Anais doesn't even exist. Meanwhile, Darwin was transformed into a green frog named Kiki. All these characters even appear in the episode The Copycats, where Cartoon Network criticizes its Oriental version. Another example of an animation that differs in various countries is the franchise that is simply the biggest contributor to the large number of animated films produced today. We're talking about Toy Story, the first mega success in computer animation. In the second movie of the franchise, we see Buzz fulfilling his hero role and delivering a motivational speech to the toys, convincing them to go in search of Woody to rescue the sheriff. And at that moment, both the US anthem plays and the country's flag is shown in the background. And even though it's primarily made for the audience in the country, we know that Pixar cartoons are shown worldwide, so it wouldn't make as much sense to have the same flag displayed in other countries. For this reason, both the American anthem was replaced by another song and the flag was swapped for a globe. It turned out great in both versions.
We will not rest until he's safe in Auntie's room!
These are just two of the animations that are different in different places around the world, which many people didn't even know about. Still talking about Disney Pixar movies, we have another great case that turned out both cool and certainly very different. In Inside Out, when Riley's parents take the little girl and sit her down for a meal, they try to get the movie's protagonist to eat small pieces of broccoli. And even against disgust, Will, who hates the vegetable, when the girl's father makes the airplane move, he manages to get her to eat. The detail is that this same scene, when broadcasted in Japan, wouldn't make any sense because, believe it or not, broccoli is one of the children's favorite foods in the land of the rising sun. For this reason, Pixar decided to replace broccoli in the scene with small pieces of bell pepper, which would sound less strange to the viewers in the country. And so it was done. While almost everywhere else Riley is disgusted by broccoli, in Japan, her disgust is against bell pepper. Speaking of Japan, one of the most recent films that also underwent a slight alteration to be shown in the anime country was Mario Brothers. If you've seen the plumber's movie that goes to the Mushroom Kingdom, you'll surely remember the character Luma, the same one who eagerly awaits the end of his own life.
Finally, mercy.
So, since death is a more delicate subject in Japan and the rate of people taking their own lives is higher than in other parts of the world, people thought it would be best that this excerpt of the little star held captive by Bowser be slightly modified. So, instead of the line you just heard, Luma said something like, "I'm not entirely a ray of sunshine, my heart is filled with darkness." Which, let's agree, is much softer. And animated movies are made for all people on the planet who want to have fun and be happy. And if you think so too, comment below, #world. Another cartoon that was a tremendous success on planet Earth in 2016 was Zootopia, where we all saw a city completely populated only by mammals of various kinds. And exactly because it's a city composed of animals that inhabit the entire world in reality, a part of the film was completely adapted for various countries around the world. The scene in question is the city's newscast, where in each country one of the presenters was modified to be a typical animal of each locality. For example, in the USA and Canada, the presenter was a moose. In China, the journalist became a panda. But for Disney fans who watched the film in Australia or New Zealand, the presenter was changed to a koala. In Brazil, the chosen animal to represent the anchor of the news was a jaguar, a typical animal of the Amazon rainforest and other regions of the country. And many other animals ended up being transmitted from different countries around the world. This plurality of characters was certainly a very good idea.
Yeah, baby!
Interestingly, the same thing happened with another Disney movie that is a historic milestone. We're talking about Cars and Lightning McQueen's story of overcoming. Many people don't even realize, but Jeff Gorvette, one of the characters in the Pixar animated film, was modified in each of the countries where the film was shown. The character, who originally has a yellow paint job with the United States flag on its side, was voiced by NASCAR racer Jeff Gordon. In addition to the car's design, local racing drivers were chosen to dub the vehicle to provide a greater level of realism and interactivity with the character. For example, in the Latin American version, the character had his colors changed to match the Mexican flag, and he was named Mimo Rojas Jr. In the Spanish version of the film, the character's colors were altered and the Spanish flag was placed on its side, and the multiple Formula One champion Fernando Alonso lent his voice and name to the character. These are just a few examples because this happened in many other countries like Germany, Japan, and France, for example.
¡Eh, Fernando! ¡Hola, Rayo! ¿Has visto qué montaje?
The same idea used in cars was also used in planes, which is basically an aerial version of the Pixar movie made solely by Disney. Thus, the character who originally goes by the name Rochelle in the movie's plot released in 2013 has different paint and names depending on the country in which the film was shown. Originally, the character wore white and red, in addition to one of the symbols of the Canadian flag. For example, in Russia, the character's paint was changed to the colors of the flag of the country, including blue as well as red and white, and her name was changed to Tanya. In Germany, she became Heidi and had the colors of the national flag of that country on her bodywork, yellow, red, and black. And in Brazil, her name was changed to Carolina, and the colors of her bodywork were changed to green, yellow, and blue, just like the colors of the tropical country. Surely you've noticed that on our channel you'll only see videos with quality and fun, so if you don't want to miss our upcoming content, subscribe now by clicking the button below. Now let's talk about a small and very subtle change that happened in the Disney Pixar movie that probably made many of you cry. Everyone who watched Up remembers the story of Carl and Ellie's dream of visiting Paradise Falls together in Venezuela, and for that, they set aside a small glass bottle and put coins in it. Outside the money jar, they stick a piece of paper and put Paradise Falls. So since English is not the official language everywhere in the world, Disney decided that for the rest of the world, the piece of paper stuck to the coin jar would display not the name of the place, but rather a hand-drawn illustration by the couple, which turned out to be really cool too. Returning to talk about the movie focused on Riley and her emotions, let's talk about another scene that was completely modified to make much more sense in many places around the world. And this happened exactly in one of the main scenes of the film, the family dinner. At that moment, when Riley, her father, and her mother are sitting at the table, we see that the girl's mother tries to interact with the girl who has different behavior, since neither joy nor sadness are at the control center. Meanwhile, we are taken to the mind of the girl's father and see that he is simply revisiting in his mind a memory of a hockey game, which is his favorite sport. The detail is that except for some regions in North America, Russia, and Iceland, there are not many countries where the sport is admired and known. For this reason, in various parts of the world, the scene in the girl's father's mind was replaced by the most popular sport of all, soccer. The choice was made because the sport has the largest number of practitioners in the world, which was a good choice, at least for me, who really enjoys watching some matches from time to time. Now speaking of another film that originated from the same creator as Inside Out, let's talk about Monsters University. The scene that was modified occurs when Randall, who was still a friend of Mike at the time, decides to make some cupcakes for the fraternity party. And on each of them, he put a letter to form the phrase, "Be my pal." But as we mentioned, not everyone watches Disney movies in English, especially in China. For this reason, in many places around the world in this scene, the letters were replaced by small happy faces, which also turned out very well in the end. That's why Pixar movies are so good. After all, they are made and adapted for the whole world to watch and enjoy. Because watching good movies and videos is always great. That's why we're recommending 2 excellent videos for you that are appearing on the screen right now for you to click and watch. Just choose whichever you prefer. Thanks, and see you next time.